Okay, this might be a little rough going because I'm going to be trying to free translate, and usually when I feature this guy's videos, I usually would just write everything down that he says in English on some panels in Paint, and then put his video up on the screen with it. But I think that it's important to get this kind of out there along with the other message that I have, and I didn't have time to do that today. So here we go. This is Jose Daniel Borrego from, I think he's from Monterrey, Mexico. And he's commenting on the migrant caravan.
Los migrantes llegaron a Tijuana, llegaron haciendo caos, llegaron incomodando a la gente.
He says the people who came to Tijuana, they have created chaos and they have made the people there very uncomfortable.
La gente se enojó, salió a las calles, reclamó, se llegó casi a una trifulca.
He says that the people have taken to the streets and you've basically got a huge ruckus taking place.
Masiva, y ya el alcalde inclusive de Tijuana ha dicho que la federación los ha abandonado, que ha abandonado.
He says that even the mayor of Tijuana is saying that the federal government of Mexico has abandoned the city.
Los tijuanenses, tal como lo advertí hace muchas semanas, van a llegar, van a causar problemas, van a causar.
He says that for several weeks they have been arriving and have been causing problems.
Descontrol social, y la gente va a decir, ay, pero ¿qué pudimos hacer? Fácil, no haberlos dejado.
And he says that, you know, this type of thing has put the city kind of out of control, and people are saying, well, I mean, it sounded so easy.
El tema es que es muy fácil decir desde la comodidad de sus monitores, de sus computadoras, apoyar el tema de los migrantes. Ahora ya.
So he's saying that it seems very easy to support immigrants when you're just doing it from your computer screen and you don't really have to do anything with it. You just press a button and share an emoji or something.
Están aquí, ya están generando caos con la ley. Ya el alcalde dice que va a hacer una consulta acerca de si
I think he said there that they're basically taking a shit on the law.
Quieren recibir más migrantes o no. Evidentemente no van a querer recibir más migrantes y se les va a tener que deportar, una deportación masiva, que fue lo que yo dije hace algunas semanas.
And he says that people have come to the conclusion that you have to do a mass deportation of the people from Tijuana back to Honduras, basically.
Muchos se me echaron encima, muchos me criticaron que yo era racista, que yo era esto y que era aquello. Señores, es una...
He's saying, well, people were saying I was racist and that I'm prejudiced and I don't know what I'm talking about for a while. But listen up, everybody.
Es una cuestión lógica, es cuestión de analizar el escenario, es cuestión de saber qué va a pasar. En Nuevo León no.
He's saying this is just a logical question. It's a mathematical question. What's going to happen in Nuevo León? I guess he's from Nuevo León, which is a different. It's not where Monterrey. I don't know if. I think Monterrey might actually be in Nuevo León state. I don't remember. Sorry. Sorry, Jose.
No hay autoridad porque la mayor parte de ellos no tienen el valor de enfrentar las situaciones que en realidad le importan a la gente.
And he's saying that the majority of people in the country, it's talking about Mexico as a whole, don't have the actual courage or character to confront the real or the values. He said, you know, valor was the character. Or the courage to confront the real issue that is plaguing Mexican society.
Nuevo León. Todos le sacaron la vuelta, todos apoyaron a los migrantes. ¡Oh, vamos a aceptarlos! ¿Y ahora qué van a hacer? ¿Qué van a hacer cuando lleguen 2000?
And he's saying, you know, they were saying for so long, oh, we should take these immigrants, we should accept them. And look what's happening.
Que estén pidiendo dinero en las calles. ¿Les van a dar de su dinero? ¿Cuántos de los que estuvieron apoyando les van a abrir las puertas de sus casas? Ya el gobierno...
How many of you guys would open the doors of your houses to these people?
Ha dicho que va a pedir recursos en los estados para apoyar a los migrantes. Este dinero evidentemente se lo van a robar porque hay mucha corrupción.
Saying, you know, how much money we're going to invest from our own state resources and taxes, given our own corrupt local system of government.
Entonces, repito, ven que tenía razón con el tema de los migrantes, ven.
Saying that, I mean, I'm going to say one more time, he says, don't you see that I was right the whole time? Don't you see I've been right the whole time? So I guess he said it twice.
Que tenía razón con el tema de la criminalidad, del caos social, del descontrol. Pero muchos no me quisieron creer, me juzgaron, me atacaron.
He's saying, I said the right thing. They're going to bring crime. They're going to shit on the law base. I think that's what he's saying. This is basically what happens when you accept a huge amount of immigrants.
Me criticaron. Solamente quiero decirles que nuestra plataforma política va creciendo. El día de hoy tuve una reunión muy fructífera con una legisladora. Vamos a buscar impulsar algunas cosas y el punto final de todo esto es.
So I believe he said he's going to be visiting with a local deputy of the Mexican Congress and talking to her about this whole issue.
Formar una agrupación política que busque llegar a la máxima posición política en este estado. Y vamos a impulsar un chingo de cosas. Después voy a ir anunciando cuál va a ser el caminito a seguir. Pero pues bueno, estén al pendiente, señores. Y como siempre, o como casi siempre, pues tenía razón. Me insultaron, me dijeron de todo. Y ahora inclusive gente que apoyaba el tema de los migrantes ya se dieron cuenta que no estaba tan fácil la cosa y que no eran tan pulcros o tan buenos como ellos pensaban. Los migrantes llegaron.
Sorry. So he's basically what he said at the end of the video, which would have taken too long for me to literally translate, was that they're coming up with a new political movement. There will be anti-immigration for Nuevo León, which is one of the northern Mexican states. And that basically all the people who have until then called him racist and called him, intolerant and whatever, they're basically starting to admit that he was right. And I'll tell you who else was. So let's talk about what he was saying. There have been riots in Tijuana regarding the current wave of illegal immigration to Mexico. So you're seeing this massive even the guy with the Lucha Libre mask, this massive crowd of anti-immigration Mexican people, trying to protect Mexico from an invasion. They're calling it an invasion. The people of Mexico are calling it an invasion. A guy in an Oakland Raiders jersey and Lucha Libre mask is calling it Puro Tijuana. Yeah, Pure Tijuana, I guess. Pure Tijuana, asshole. That's what it says. Puro Tijuana. Cabrones. This is exactly, people thought that Steve Bannon was off his rocker when he was going to basically, Steve Bannon, they were saying he's all about racism. But racism is not the issue that he talks about. I just watched the Steve Bannon Oxford Union speech, and people just let everything he talks about go over their heads. They have to realize that average people, it's not about Steve Bannon, first of all. Steve Bannon is kind of just a guy who is not, I don't think he's going to become a world leader at any point. He's not going to become, he's not going to end up being elected to anything, because I don't think that's really his goal either. But you can see here, he's getting these interviews all the time, here with The Economist, and like I said, the one with the Oxford Union and Good Morning Britain, and I think there was another newspaper in the Netherlands recently. So everybody was saying, "Oh, we're so glad Steve Bannon is out of the White House." And look, CNN here. This is an interview they had on for months. It has 138,000 views and only 700 likes and whatever. I don't believe for a moment that CNN really has the viewership on the internet that they said that a 5.3 million subscriber channel would have. But in any case, this is their interview with Fareed Zakaria. And I think Fareed Zakaria is one of the more intelligent. Maybe he's one of the only intelligent people on CNN. That's pretty sad. But here we go.
Math. But you're evading that, Steve. With all due respect, what that answer implied was they'd come from the wrong culture. If they came from the right culture, if I was white and Christian,
by the way,
you might have a different reaction.
So sorry, but I cut off the beginning. But Fareed Zakaria basically had asked him, what's this whole thing with anti-immigration? And Steve Bannon said, well, a nation is not defined as an economic zone. It's defined as a people and a culture. and that's why Fareed Zakaria was objecting. By the way, I think if you went back to Pakistan, which is where I believe Zakaria's family comes from, I think that they would agree with Steve Bannon's notion of what a nation is, not what Fareed Zakaria says.
Absolutely no difference.
No?
If you no, if
What
you're
do you mean
by the
by
way,
that
if you're from Asia and you're here, second generation, you're an American citizen, absolutely no problem. These HB1 visas where you come here and basically to take the jobs of American citizens is just not acceptable, and that's not racist. American citizens. By the way, the central beating heart of this is that Hispanics and blacks have to get into the high value-added tech jobs. We're never going to do that as long as they have unfair competition. Remember when Sessions and I first started this back.
By the way, you're not.
So I'm not one of these people who I deem it unfair competition. I think I disagree with Steve Bannon here. I don't call him a racist, but you have to admit there's a lot of really hardworking people from India, from other parts of South Asia and Southeast Asia and China that got those degrees, and there's a lot of Americans that didn't. There's a lot of Americans that could have gotten those degrees, and they got a degree in basically Tibetan finger fucking or something. I don't know. That's the difference, and that's something I think Steve Bannon probably would admit. That's the problem with America. It's educational priorities, and I don't think that it's necessarily fair. I know a lot of people from India, and from China, and from South Korea, and from other parts of Asia. Also from Latin America, by the way, that did learn technical skills, whether technical trades or professional technical skills. And I don't think that it's worth it for us to just demonize them. The H-1B program, I think, is problematic, but, I don't think that what Bannon is doing is demonizing them. He just says the program is not good for America. I would say that he doesn't have an alternative at the moment. That you need those people to do some of those jobs at the moment, and instead of, I think what Trump will have to do, what the government will have to do as a whole, it's not just Trump, is prioritize education of Americans in those technical fields, the STEM fields they call them, but that's just a catchy name.
Also going to do that by gutting spending. I mean, you're celebrating the deconstruction of the administrative state, but it is all those scholarships and programs and pre-K and nutrition programs that help poor people rise up. And I don't
No, that's also that's a falsehood on Zakaria's part. I just said Bannon, there's an issue with him, but Zakaria is trying to imply that Head Start and all this money for the fucking school districts and the scholarships, that's what propelling people forward. No. Look, we had education that was getting steadily better way before any of these scholarships or circle jerks were going around just helping people. I'm not saying I'm against scholarships, but federally subsidized higher education, in my opinion, has proven itself to have not helped create a more modern American workforce. In fact, a lot of people ended up getting degrees that they couldn't use, and some of them, they were degrees that at the time seemed logical, but the economy shifted. But other degrees, obviously, the one I mentioned with the Tibetan finger fucking, and the other degree, which is Venetian blinds interpretations for the 13th century. Degrees like that, right? Which, granted, I just made them up, but they're perfectly plausible in the educational environment that we're talking about right now, but that is in America. But let's see what they're gonna keep going and saying.
understand why.
By the way, we just passed a $4.3 trillion budget. They didn't cut a penny. In fact, they added to all the programs. When they added to the defense programs, they added all these other programs. By the way, we didn't cut one penny out of those programs. We have by the way, it's $1.3 trillion of discretionary spending. We have $1 trillion deficits in structurally now in the future.
That's because of a $1.5 trillion tax cut to the rich.
The $1.5 trillion tax cut was supposed to be The concomitant part was supposed to be some pretty significant cuts in the budget. And by the way, the permanent political class failed to do it. When President Trump finally woke up to the fact that he had been sold a bill of goods, remember, he's saying that, hey, this will never happen again. One of the events to watch in this coming election before November 6th, September 30th is the end of this end of the appropriations year. He has already said,
all right, so that's not about immigration, but in any case, what I'm trying to say is that Steve Bannon is right. He's not right about everything, but he's right about one thing. This whole immigration, open borders fiasco, it has reawakened the concept of what the nation is for people of all different types of nations, whether it's the Hungarians or the Greeks. And by the way, in Greece, it's more left-wing nationalism, the Syriza, and then, of course, now in Mexico, people are putting up flags. They're saying, where's the flag here? No to the invasion. Damn it. Pure Tijuana assholes. So, these are people, they're not there to hate on other people, but at a certain point they reach there's the water's already gone up to their shoulders. I mean, how much more can they take? These Mexican people. I fully believe that Steve Bannon, which at one point I think people at first they thought he was a joke, then they thought he was the worst threat in the world, and now they're afraid. And they're afraid because they ignored him for so long, and then they realized that he actually accomplished something. He accomplished something by preaching a message that was similar to what Donald Trump said during the 2016 election. He was involved in that election, of course. And then there was the hilarious breakup of the year after, which I personally think that Steve Bannon should not have been fired, but whatever. In any case, now they were going along and saying for a while, oh, Steve Bannon is horrible and he's manipulating all these elections in Brazil and in Hungary and whatever. He's evil and whatever. What do they keep doing? They keep putting him on TV. They keep giving him interviews. They keep giving him a platform because they know, as much as they hate him and as much as they want him to fail, they know that he basically is their oxygen. They need somebody like him to make themselves feel important, because Trump sure as hell isn't going on TV every day. They need somebody comparable in order to do interviews. It's the same issue that you see, they're so focused on Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta isn't a real news story. The guy's an idiot. It's the same reason they have Avenatti out. They would have him on TV all the time for a long time. Why is that? Well, basically because Avenatti kind of means that you get a little more ratings. The guy is kind of a lightning rod. That's why Avenatti goes out there, by the way. I believe that Avenatti is angling for his own cable TV legal series or something. He doesn't really care about, suing the president and friggin' Stormy Daniels and porn money and whatever. Well, the porn money, of course, he'd like, but he's in it for some more long-term money. Jim Acosta is probably in it for his own cable news show. Steve Bannon is in it because he wants bragging rights, and he's basically able to say now, thanks to the media that empowers him, that he was right. Steve Bannon was right about the rise of nationalism across the world, whether it's in countries of European heritage or South American heritage or Asian heritage. What about Duterte? You don't think that has to do with what Bannon is talking about? And you don't have to like him in order to acknowledge that it's true. That there was that debate that he had with David Frum a couple weeks ago, where Frum was arguing, that Steve Bannon is horrible and he's a danger, and nationalism will basically tear down all the accomplishments of liberal democracy and everything. And at the end of the debate, two things happened. The first thing is that the audience that had booed Bannon the whole time basically agreed with him that it was true that populist nationalism will be the future in the world, which is something I have reservations about it too, but I'm not here to basically sensationalize it and call it the worst threat in the world. So these people had booed him the entire time. and they voted to sustain his position that populist nationalism is succeeding. Think about that for a second. The second thing that happened was that him and David Frum shaked hands, and you could actually see them discussing, after David Frum was calling him a danger to the West, discussing, I guess, possibly a few meetings in the future. So this is all just a charade and everything. People are absolutely fine with Steve Bannon because they in their hearts, they know that he's not actually a physical threat. He's not actually causing a rise of the Fourth Reich or something. But they do realize that he's endangering the world order that they'd wanted. So, I think if you look at Mexico, if you look at Jose Daniel Borrego, if you look at any of these other countries where we're seeing this rise in populist nationalism, you can watch the Steve Turley channel. Pretty good analysis of it. Other people, Tom Binns, there's Styx. There's a number of good creators on YouTube and elsewhere that are talking about this, and people have to just accept that something like this is happening. It's not going anywhere soon. In fact, you could see it in all sorts of different iterations around the world. So anyway, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my other channel, Razor Ray Live Wounds. For the time being, I am getting live streaming back on the 6th of next month. So we'll see what happens with the other channel. And then also please contribute to the Patreon. And please comment when this video uploads. I'll see you guys later.